Hi, my name is Rachel Henry, and today we will be discussing the simplicity theory. We'll learn what it is, why it's important, and some practical ways that we can start to integrate it into our everyday communications. Now, you might be wondering, why am I giving this presentation on a horse? Well, turns out horses and humans communicate in surprisingly similar ways, and both horses and humans need the simplicity theory to communicate effectively. So let's start looking at what the simplicity theory is. To put it simply, humans prefer simple, easy to understand things. Complex things may seem more trustworthy, but if we don't understand them, we're not receptive to them. My favorite way to remember this principle is the KISS acronym. Keep it simple, stupid. Or keep it short and simple if you prefer something more polite. Now, why is the simplicity theory important? People make decisions based on what they understand best. Say you have two options presented to you. You're going to go for the option that you understand the best, even if it means passing up on a more logical option, because it's too complex for you to understand. People listen to what they understand. If people don't understand what's being told to them, they'll stop listening. Think to the last difficult class you sat through, say a chemistry class, and your professor was explaining a really hard concept, but no matter what he said, you just couldn't understand it. So what did? You started daydreaming about your lunch instead, or what you were going to do the second you got out of that class. You stopped listening because you couldn't understand what was being told to you. Now let's look at Dan Patrick's simplicity cycle. Ultimately, more complexity equals less utility. The more complicated something is made, the less you're going to be able to use it. Say, look at that chemistry class again. Look at that concept that professor was trying to teach you. The more difficult he made it for you to understand, the less useful that concept was to you, the less you could understand it. You're not going to be able to use or apply that concept because you could not understand it. Let's look at some practical ways to start putting the simplicity theory into practice. I learned to use the simplicity theory through horses. Horses need the simplicity theory to be able to understand what you're trying to communicate to them. The first part of putting the simplicity theory into practice is having a clear objective and a purpose to what you're saying. Why are you saying what you're saying? Having this goal makes it easier for audiences to see the big picture of what you're trying to tell them. It helps them understand. Irrelevant info does not aid understanding. In fact, it makes it harder to understand. Say I'm asking my horse to back up. Doing this sends irrelevant info. He's confused. He has no idea what I want. But if I ask directly for what I want, back, he understands it. And he does it because he knows what the goal is. Back up. Now, second, focus on a few main points. Overloading points means nothing gets done. Learn a little through fewer points, but learn how to apply that knowledge. Take a horse, for example. If I want to train my horse to become an Olympic jumper, I may try and overload him with trying to master too many skills, learn too many points in too short of an amount of time, and he's not going to learn any of it. Whereas if I work day by day by day, starting out, let's learn how to walk, trot, then we'll learn how to canter, gallop, then we'll learn how to jump. He's going to be able to learn better and apply that knowledge because I focused on fewer points at a time. Third, go slowly. It takes time to be understood. Understanding does not happen overnight. Develop your points. Build on the base understanding your audience has of a concept and develop your points so that they are able to learn and apply it to their own lives. To go one point at a time. Don't try and go ahead of yourself. Just take your time. Likewise, with a horse, you cannot expect your horse to learn something instantly any more than you can expect a human audience to learn a foreign concept instantly. I may spend 30 minutes to work with a horse on one concept. I may spend 30 minutes with a fellow student trying to explain a chemistry concept. It's the same thing. I have to go slowly to develop my point. Fourth, be precise, direct, and simple. Ambiguity or jargon may look impressive, but if your audience does not understand what you're trying to say, they're not going to be able to effectively use or learn from your presentation. Likewise, with my horse, If I'm not direct with him and tell him exactly what I want him to do, he's not going to understand it. If I want him to turn in a circle or to walk forward, I have to say it. Walk forward, Petey. Through direct terminology, he is able to understand what I want. I didn't make it flowery, I didn't use jargon, and he understood what I wanted. Do that with your audiences. Lastly, clarify a concept if it's not understood. A lack of understanding prevents learning and prevents positive communication experiences. If my horse doesn't understand something I want him to do, I need to clarify what I want so that he can learn and use the information I'm trying to communicate to him. Likewise, if you use certain terms in a presentation or when you're having a conversation with somebody, you need to make sure they understand. These are a few practical ways that you can start using the simplicity theory in your everyday communications. Today we've looked at what the simplicity theory is, why it's important, and how to use it. And I hope that you, as my audience, can better implement these tactics in your own communication. Thank you.